On First at 9 this Monday, the 24th of November 2025. Fatal weather. Tree collapses onto a three-wheeler in Mavanalla, claiming one life and injuring three more. 6 more lives lost to a rock slide in Ganethanna. Stolen heritage. Valachene Pradeshya Sabha members remove signboards at archaeological site in Batticalow. 1 suspect arrested and 4 police teams deployed to locate fleeing Pradeshya Sabha chairman. 5th review. IMF Executive Board to evaluate the 5th review of Sri Lanka's Extended Fund Facility on December 15th. Standoff. LTTE supporters protest JVP General Secretary Tilvin Silva's visit to the UK.
From Derana, this is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening, you're joining First at 9, brought to you by Sri Lanka's premium news provider, Derana News Channel. I'm Tarindu Mahendra, joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. We begin with your top story this evening. A tree collapsed onto a three-wheeler and a nearby building on the Mavanalla Rabukkana Road last night, claiming one life and leaving 3 more, including an infant, injured. Meanwhile, in Parliament today, Minister of Transport, Highways and Urban Development Bimal Ratnayaka stated that reconstruction is planned near the 98th kilometre post in Kadugannawa, while Geological Survey and Mines Bureau will conduct surveys via drones.
At around 8:30 p.m. last night in Talagolla, a tree collapsed onto a moving three-wheeler and a building on the opposite side of the Mavanalla Rabukkana Road. Power lines were also damaged in the incident, resulting in power outages in the area. 4 individuals, including a 2.5-year-old infant, were trapped inside the three-wheeler. They were rescued by residents with the assistance of police and army personnel and the Mavanalla Fire Brigade. The infant was rescued first, and a 57-year-old male passenger who had sustained head injuries was rescued about an hour later. A 48-year-old female passenger and the driver of the three-wheeler were rescued approximately 5 hours after the incident, but the driver had already succumbed to his injuries. The rescued passengers, identified as the members of the same family, were admitted to Mavanalla Base Hospital. The deceased driver was identified as a 38-year-old resident of Kappagoda, Mavanalla. Disaster management officials of the Mavanalla Divisional Secretariat awarded 1 million rupees in compensation to the family of the deceased driver. In the meantime, traffic congestion was created in the Mavanalla Rabukkana area owing to the collapsed tree. A building on the other side of the road and a lorry inside the building was also damaged during the collapse. Acting Mavanalla Magistrate Kamani Meghasuriya arrived at the site today for an inspection. Local residents warned that there are many other trees on this road that are at risk of collapsing. Meanwhile, 6 people lost their lives when a rock slide collapsed onto a restaurant and an adjacent residence in the Hingula Ganethanna area along the Colombo Kandy main road. Authorities took steps to completely close the Colombo Kandy main road in the Ganethanna area due to the danger posed by the incident. The road was reopened today with the restrictions specifically for GCE advanced level candidates and individuals commuting for their daily duties. Only 3 buses operated on the road today, while train services continued as usual. Meanwhile, a discussion regarding the reopening of the road and other related matters was held today in Lower Kadugannawa. Meanwhile, in Parliament, Minister of Transport, Highways and Urban Development Bimal Ratnayaka commented on the situation in Kadugannawa.
According to yesterday's assessment, the fallen rock and other rocks at risk of collapsing were to be blasted and removed following the advice of the National Building Research Organization in order to reopen at least one lane of the road within 2 or 3 days. However, the Director General of Road Development Authority called me and said that the NBRO advised there would be a risk in blasting the rocks during the rainy weather. Therefore, their recommendation is to reconstruct the damaged section of the road around the 98th kilometre mark. mark. We are planning to carry out these reconstructions and hope to open at least one lane of the Candy Road by tomorrow or at the day after. Once the weather improves, a significant overhaul will be required. At present, the Geological Survey and Mines Bureau has commenced surveys via drones and they are planning to conduct physical surveys to assess the situation. The situation in Kadugana is critical and we expect to receive the overall report, discuss the findings with the President and take necessary actions.
Meanwhile, in view of the prevailing adverse weather, the National Building Research Organisation issued a Level 2 landslide warning for several areas in the Badulla, Gol, Kalutara, Matara, Kandy, Kegol and Ratnapura districts. Against this backdrop, the Department of Meteorology stated that prevailing showery conditions over the island are expected to continue during the next few days. The Met Department further forecasts that showers or thunder showers will occur at times in the northern, north central, eastern, Uva and southern provinces.
ඔබේ සම හඳුනාගෙන ඖෂධීය ශාකසාරමේ Forever face wash එකක් භාවිතා කරන්න.
අප වෙනුවෙන් කැපවූ ලංකාවේ අපේ අංක 1 ජාලය ඩයලොග්. දවටනේ නියම මිල සඳහන් ස්විස්ටෙක් නිෂ්පාදන මිලදී ගන්න. ස්විස්ටෙක් ගන්න ඕන හොඳම තීරණය.
The Office of the Police spokesperson announced that a suspect linked to the removal of signboards at heritage sites in Batticalow has been taken into custody. Meanwhile, 4 police teams are also on the hunt to locate the Vala Chennai Pradeshya Sabha chairman who is suspected of involvement in the incident and has fled the area.
On the 3rd of November, the Department of Archaeology installed directional signboards across multiple heritage sites in the Batticalow district. In the days that followed, a video circulated on social media depicting several individuals dismantling these signboards. Condemning the act, Buddhist clergy called on the government to launch a thorough investigation and take steps to restore the removed signs. Meanwhile, in Parliament today, Minister of Public Security and Parliamentary Affairs Ananda Vijaypala commented on the ongoing investigations into the matter.
A complaint had been lodged with the Vala Chennai police on the 23rd this month concerning the removal of 6 directional signboards pointing the way to Deimale archaeological site within the jurisdiction of Vala Chennai police on the 22nd of November. The complaint states that a group comprising the chairman of Vala Chennai Pradeshya Sabha had removed these signboards. Likewise, another complaint was filed with Kokadachole police on the 20th of November concerning the removal of 2 additional directional signboards leading the way towards a Hindu Kovil. Every citizen is equal before the law, although some may think otherwise. The court has ordered police to apprehend those involved in the incident and ensure they face legal consequences. If there are any issues with certain parties, they could have simply resolved the matter through the Rural Development Committee or the District Development Committee in the area. No individual has the authority to dismantle signboards installed by the government or the Department of Archaeology at protected heritage sites. Such actions are unlawful. The matter is now before the courts with a ruling pending. We will not allow anyone to promote racism or religious extremism in this country.
Meanwhile, the police spokesperson's office announced that one suspect linked to the removal of archaeological signboards has been arrested in Kiran in Batticalow and that Vala Chennai police have successfully recovered the stolen signboards. Authorities further stated that the chairman of Vala Chennai Pradeshya Sabha, who is implicated in the incident, has fled the area and 4 police teams have been deployed to locate him.
The new system facilitating bus fare payments via bank cards was officially inaugurated today, with 20 buses equipped with the new system being launched. However, Chairman of the Lanka Private Bus Owners Association, Gamunu Vijayaratne, stated that his association will not support the new initiative.
Bus fare payments via credit and debit cards was officially launched today at the Makumbara Multimodal Centre under the patronage of Transport Minister Bimal Ratnayaka. Under the first phase of the new initiative launched jointly by the Ministries of Digital Economy and Transport, 20 buses equipped with the new payment system have been made available.
This is a pilot project and there will be shortcomings. However, this is a crucial initiative and people must get used to this. During card payments, a transaction fee will not be charged from the passenger. If the bus fare is 970 rupees, that exact amount will be debited. The client of the bank is the bus owner. We are making one request from banks and credit and debit card companies to reduce the service charge for this system.
Although several private bus owners associations appreciated the new fare system, chairman of the Lanka Private Bus Owners Association Gamanu Wijeratna opposed the new system.
We will not support pilot projects like this. To make this project successful, conductors must be removed. This system will not be successful as long as conductors operate the card payment machine. History will record this as another program that did not progress past the pilot project stage.
Musa Phoenix Natal Fiesta November 13 සිට 16 දක්වා අනුරාධපුර ස්පොට්නික් ක්‍රීඩා පිටියේදී.
Now taking you to political developments, Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna challenges the government to conduct provincial council elections, urging it to demonstrate that it continues to wield authority at the grassroots level. Meanwhile, leader of Pivituru Helorume, Udega Mampila, emphasized that the opposition will move forward collaboratively with a shared objective of overthrowing the incumbent government.
The opposition rally held on the 21st was undeniably successful. It sent a clear message to President Anwar Dissanayake, signaling that the public will no longer be misled by false claims. We urge the President to call provincial council elections without delay, thereby demonstrating that the government still retains a measure of authority and influence over the public. If the government believes that interrupting power, dismounting loudspeakers or resorting to mudslinging can lessen the public's growing resentment towards them, then the President is gravely mistaken. Our next rally is scheduled for January next year. We have resolved to move forward collaboratively and peacefully with the shared objective of ultimately removing this government from power. It is clear that there are differences among opposition parties, yet we have made significant progress. Our party has evolved, adapting to global developments and responding to the voice of the public. We are fully capable of driving meaningful change. While the phases may be familiar, we now operate as a team guided by modern and forward-thinking principles.
Meanwhile, General Secretary of Samaga Jana Balawege, Ranjit Madduma Bandara, stated that the government is avoiding holding provincial council elections due to its declining voter base. He made these remarks during a press briefing held at the opposition leader's office.
This is the
only government that the public has begun to dislike within just 1 week. We also know that the government's voter base has declined. That is why they are avoiding holding provincial council elections. I saw that JVP General Secretary Tilvin Silva is in England attending an event with empty chairs. Those seats were filled when President Anwar Dissanayake was there a year earlier. Yes, the rally on November 21st was good. A coalition must be formed in this fight against the government. Our party will do that at the right time. The foundation for rebuilding the connection between the SJB and UNP is already there and work is progressing.
අවශ්‍ය සම්බන්ධතාවයට දැන් පදනම වැටලා තියෙනවා ඒ කටයුත්ත කරගෙන යනවා.
ඒ කියන්නේ හදියාව බෙල්ල කරගන්න පුළුවන් වෙයිද? අනේ ඒ පැත්තට ගිහින් දැන ගැහුවා.
නෑ මම හිතන්නේ රටේ අලියට ඡන්ද දෙන පාක්ෂිකයෝ එතනට යන්නේ බය වෙන්න එපා. ඒගොල්ලෝ එන්නේ මෙතනට.
The International Monetary Fund's Executive Board is set to meet on December 15, 2025 to review and potentially approve the 5th review of Sri Lanka's Extended Fund Facility Programme. In October, Sri Lankan authorities and IMF staff reached an agreement on economic policies for the review. Once approved, Sri Lanka will gain access to around $347 million in financing. The IMF noted that recent reforms have supported economic recovery, with inflation stabilizing, reserves rising, and both GDP growth and revenue exceeding expectations. The EFF, totaling about $3 billion, was originally approved in March 2023. Welcome back to First at 9. Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa criticised the summoning of journalists from the Aruna newspaper to the Criminal Investigation Department over their reporting on police documents, deeming the action a violation of media freedom. In response, Leader of the House, Minister Bimal Ratnayake, affirmed in Parliament today that the present administration remains committed to upholding media freedom.
The 16 days of activism against gender-based violence begins today. Many MPs in this house said that not only women but all men also want to live without violence. We acknowledge that. We all accept that without any gender bias, everyone wants to live in peace. Therefore, I propose that within this esteemed house, we take accountability and responsibility to stand firmly against violence.
Even this government, when it was in the opposition, opposed the MCC agreement. Because of that, we lost the $500 million that Sri Lanka was supposed to receive. If that funding had arrived, 322 intersections in Colombo could have been improved. Had the project begun back then, construction would have been completed by now. As a former member of the media industry, I must also emphasize that this country values free speech. We request the government not to suppress the media, which is referred to as the fourth branch of government. The editor of the Aruna newspaper has been summoned to the CID over an article. If the article was erroneous, they should have simply asked for a correction. You cannot continue to suppress the media. Harassment of women and children in public transport has increased. We will be issuing office and school transport guidelines in January 2026. Under these guidelines, CCTV cameras will be mandatory in school vans so that parents can monitor what is happening. In the past, you portrayed road constructions as something negative. You questioned the value of developing roads. Let me briefly explain the road development that took place after 2005. 250 kilometers of highways, 7,500 kilometers of A and B grade road, 35,000 kilometers of rural roads. Approximately 12.8 kilometers of roads were constructed per day between 2005 and 2014. During this so-called 76-year curse that you speak of, ports were built, airports were built, expressways were built, and apartments and houses were constructed. Now, if you look at the curse of just 1 year, we know that the expansion of the Ratmalani airport must happen. It was this government that stopped it, saying the roof design was not suitable. I also remember the government warning that there could be congestion at the port again, meaning more containers might be released without inspection, exactly how it happened in the past. It is true that many roads were constructed within those 9 years, but now we are investigating how much funds were misappropriated under the guise those instruction projects. That is the difference between you and us. We recently presented a matter that has now been proven that a situation has been created where individuals directly or indirectly require clearance from public safety committees to obtain police reports. That is true. Now, because this issue was reported to the public, the journalists involved have been summoned to the CID. That is wrong. The government has a responsibility to protect media freedom, which protects the country's democracy, and to ensure journalists are free to report. The Public Security Minister clearly stated that there is no requirement for clearance from the Public Safety Committee to obtain a police report. Do not mislead the public with lies, opposition leader. You may gain a political advantage from this, but after the minister has clearly stated the facts, why would you continue? As a responsible person, you should not do that. We stand firmly for media freedom, but if the reports are false, then no one, including the opposition leader, should defend them. We stated the truth. It was not us who said that a lie can be turned into truth and a truth turned into a lie. This is the truth. Do you need clearance from the committee to turn on the mic? Someone told you to switch off the mic. This issue is not over because the CID has summoned the editor of the Aruna newspaper. If that had not happened, this matter would have ended by now.
A group of disabled war heroes and the National Organization for the Protection of War Heroes' Rights staged a protest at Poldua Junction today, demanding that the government restore their full salaries, allowances and pensions. Tensions escalated when police attempted to prevent the protesters from marching towards Parliament.
The National Organization for the Protection of War Heroes' Rights staged a protest near Poldua Junction this morning. Demonstrators urged the government to grant the full salaries and allowances of deceased war heroes to their dependents without any reductions and to ensure pensions are paid in full and on schedule. A tense situation arose when protesters attempted to march from Poldua intersection towards the Parliament entrance. The Police Special Task Force and Riot Control Unit were deployed to block their advance, triggering another standoff. Police later permitted 3 representatives to meet the speaker. Remaining protesters continued the demonstration at the site where opposition leader Sajith Premadasa arrived to inquire about their grievances.
Administrative excuses do not apply to disabled war heroes. They have made the ultimate sacrifice for the country. We are committed to making every sacrifice necessary for our war heroes. If this issue is resolved today, it will feel as though I have been elected president. We must resolve this burning issue.
According to the protesters, the representatives were only able to present their concerns to the Speaker's secretary and did not receive a positive response. The issue also drew attention during parliamentary proceedings today.
No decision has been taken by the Ministry of Defence to suspend the 750 rupee parental care allowance granted to parents of war heroes. Beneficiaries are required to submit proof of survival twice a year. Those who do not submit this proof have their allowances temporarily suspended. This suspension only remains effective until the required confirmation is provided. The allowance can be continued once the confirmation is submitted. Incorrect information has been circulating claiming that the allowance has been suspended. Please do not misled by such statements.
LTTE supporters in London yesterday protested the visit of JVP General Secretary Tilvin Silva, confronting his convoy as he arrived at a November Heroes Day commemoration in Leicester. Speaking at the event, the JVP General Secretary emphasized that the NPP regime has been able to revive a nation that had suffered severe economic and social decline.
General Secretary of the JVP, Tilvin Silva, recently departed the country to participate in a series of public meetings organised by NPP supporters residing in the United Kingdom. Yesterday, while travelling to deliver an address at a November Heroes Day commemoration in Leicester, he encountered a group of LTTE supporters who staged a protest along the road to the venue. After considerable effort, event organisers were able to escort Silva safely into the hall. The meeting, organised by JVP and National People's Power activists in the UK, was held under the theme Victory and the Country's Tomorrow.
බොහෝ දෙනා අනාවැකි පළ කරා අපි මාස 6කට වඩා පාලනය කරන්නේ නැහැ කියලා.
Many believe that the NPP-led government would not even survive 6 months in office. Defeated opposition parties repeatedly predicted our downfall, and even some of our fellow members felt that our progress was only moderate. But we are operating according to a clear, structured plan. We have no intention of derailing the country by accelerating the economy recklessly. We remain confident that we will achieve our vision of building a new social order. We assume the leadership of the country at a time of severe turmoil. Our foremost objective was to stabilize an economy that had completely collapsed, laying the groundwork for future development. Our second major priority was the eradication of fraud and corruption. As the first step, the government, working in coordination with the central bank, implemented measures aimed at restoring economic stability. At the time, former President Ranil Wickremesinghe warned that the coming weeks would be extremely difficult. He even suggested that the economy would only recover by 2048 and that certain state-owned enterprises might need to be sold to achieve stability. However, the NPP administration neither privatized any state assets nor imposed undue hardship on the public. Yet, despite these constraints, we succeeded in stabilizing the economy. This clearly demonstrates that we have been able to revive a nation that had previously suffered severe economic and social decline.
අපි මේ තත්ත්වයට පත් කරලා තියෙනවා.
Welcome back to First at 9 in Business News today. The Public Debt Management Office has announced an auction to issue $50 million in domestic dollar bonds from December 1st to 3rd, 2025 with settlement on December 10th. The bonds offered in 1, 2 and 3-year tenors will carry fixed rates determined via competitive bidding with semi-annual interest payments. Minimum investment is $1 million. Eligible investors are limited to locally incorporated licensed commercial banks, and the issuance may be upsized up to 3 times based on demand. In a stock update, the Colombo Bourse closed in negative territory today as a result of price losses in counters such as Hatton National Bank, Richard Pearce & Company and National Development Bank. The benchmark ASPI lost 1.47% to close at 22,644.88, while the more liquid S&P Sri Lanka 20 decreased by 1.33% to end the day at 6,279.71. Market turnover was 4.9 billion rupees. Foreign participation in market activity remained at subdued levels, with foreigners closing as net buyers, purchasing shares worth 83 million rupees. Up next is Dinuka Dharmasena from Capital Alliance with a few thoughts to round off our Markets in View segment for the week.
Sri Lankan equities closed weaker last week as the SPF fell 2% to 22,982, while the S&P SL20 declined 1.1% to 6,364. Trading activity was sharply lower, with market turnover dropping 43% week on week to 20 billion rupees. Meanwhile, the last week Treasury bill auction raised 63.1 billion rupees, with the 3 and 6 months maturities unchanged and the 12 months maturities recording 1 basis point decrease.
And with that, here's a look at today's foreign exchange rates. That's all for tonight from First at 9. Thank you for joining. Have a great night.